after me with pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Brad. His mic's not on.
Calling a roll.
Randy Gentry,
Here.
Nancy Alsop,
Here.
Brenda Wilson.
Here. Here.
Oh, sorry.
Allergies got my voice.
It's all right. David Thompson,
Here.
Brad Anderson,
Here.
Vicky Wager,
Here.
Steve Ellis.
Here.
Thank you. Correcting the journal of proceeding meetings if needed. August 5th, 2025 Sunshine Meeting is on page 28. Don't have any changes. I will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Wager, second by Councilwoman Wilson. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. August 12th, 2025 meeting, page 33. There are no changes. I will accept the motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Wilson,
I'll second.
second by Councilwoman Alston. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Communications from elected officials, other officials, or agencies of the county.
Real quick, Council President, just wanted to, I mentioned it this morning at the Commissioners' meeting, but no council member was there. Wanted to express our sincere gratitude on behalf of county employees. Brad, Vicky, and Steve did a tremendous job on the budget and have given county employees a sincere baseline to build off of in 2026 and into 2027. They made some tough decisions, also made some fantastic decisions. And Morgan, Larry, Brady, Devin, Judy, everybody involved was really great to work with. Had the opportunity to spend 3 days with them, and we had a great time. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Council President, members of the County Council, I'm Joe Shackelford. I'm the chairman of the Honey Creek Fire Protection District Trustees. I asked Mr. Thompson last week if I could spend about 2 minutes and give you some information that is germane to your process. The Honey Creek Fire Protection District, at the request of the Honey Creek Department of Fire and Rescue after the 2023 Sullivan tornado, established the Structural Collapse and Trench Rescue Teams. Honey Creek Department of Fire and Rescue responded to the Sullivan tornado approximately 30 minutes after the tornado hit the south part of the city of Sullivan. After arriving on the scene, John Shackelford, my youngest son, and his crew started searching collapsed building for trapped victims. They spent 14 hours in Sullivan after the tornado, and they recovered one of the fatalities in the tornado, and they searched approximately 200 collapsed buildings. During an after-action critique of this incident, it was determined that the fire department team did not have adequate operational skills and equipment and training to perform this type of rescue. The Honey Creek Fire Protection District started the process to determine what would be needed to properly equip and train a response team to perform for building collapses and trench rescue responses. This information was presented to the Fire District trustees and approved. As a result, the Honey Creek Department of Fire and Rescue employees and volunteers received instructions from Advanced Rescue Solutions of Indianapolis. The instructors for this course were almost all members of FEMA Task Force 1 based out of Indianapolis. So they are people that know their stuff. Let's see. The instruction covered 2 weeks, 1 week of structural collapse, 1 week of trench rescue, and the cost was $32,000, $16,000 a week. To date, the Honey Creek Department of Fire and Rescue the Honey Creek Fire Protection District, my group, has invested over $180,000 into this project. We have purchased a trailer. It is completely equipped. It is self-sustaining, and it can go anywhere. And most people don't realize that at the time of the Sullivan tornado, there were 2 rescue teams available, one in Evansville and one in Noblesville. That was all that was available. By establishing this team, we are set up to be a regional team and can go and help other departments that need this rescue knowledge. And we are running our second class of 19 firefighters through the 2-week course later this month. The technical rescue squad has made 2 responses to date. The first was to Farmersburg when a female driver suffered a medical incident and drove through a restaurant on the east side of Farmersburg, right at the south edge of town. Her vehicle penetrated the exterior wall and 3 interior walls and was 22 feet inside of the building when they finally got to her. Our firefighters went in there, they stabilized the building, made it safe for the repair crews to be able to come in and make the needed repairs. And the second one was a impaired driver that drove through a house in Fairbanks. Unfortunately, no one was injured there, but there was extensive damage to the residents. I just wanted to say thank you to the Vigo County Council for making this possible by your approval of our budgets. Anybody has any questions, I'm very glad to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Thompson, council members, Judge Lucky Reddy, thanks for giving me a few minutes. I apologize if procedurally I'm talking out of turn, but wasn't quite sure when else to bring this up. So I've gotten a little wind that Family Court project probably won't get fully funded or even how much. So I just wanted to say a few words about it. I'm very passionate about this project. I don't get any personal benefit other than the satisfaction that I'm making a difference. And so, you know, whenever it is that the vote comes up, this is just what I want you to think about as food for thought. It was just back in 2019 that we had that big debate of how much are we going to put into a new jail. We had to do it because there's a federal lawsuit, and there's still a federal lawsuit going on. And back then, when you had all that opposition, a lot of it from ISU, you know, I talked to them. I said, listen, the jail's going to happen. Come on board and help me focus on these children, because that jail's going to be full in less than 5 years. I guarantee it. And you know what? That jail's only 2 years old, and it's full. And the federal lawsuit's still there. And what's our long-term strategy? As the council, it's up to you to decide what's our short-term, what's our long-term strategy, where are we going to spend our money? You have a lot of people asking you for money. And yes, one approach is let's keep building jails, and eventually it'll consume our whole county if you think that's a good approach. I don't. We can disagree on that. I hope that you'll think about, what's the return on my investment? How well are my tax dollars being spent? We're building these jails. Is it really rehabilitating these individuals? I think the stats are going to show you there's a high recidivism rate, not just in Vigo County, but everywhere. So is it really money well spent? Yes, we can do a lot at community corrections and all these adults, but what's your rate of return? How many of these people at the adult stage are really changing? Or we can say, the state's funding the Department of Child Services, let's just let them do it. Well, it's costing a fortune. You're still contributing to that tax dollar money, and they have a 90% recidivism rate. 90%. You might as well take a match and burn up your money, right? And there's all the studies that will tell you early intervention. We are seeing these kids, we're seeing the services that they get, and it makes a difference. And I know people want to think, no, this is just in the poor and uneducated population. That is not true. That's not what I'm seeing in my court. My court's not with the Department of Child Services. It's family court for divorces. And it is all across the economic and education levels. And there's a real impact. And if you think it doesn't affect you, think again, because all these children go to school with your children, your grandchildren, and your family members, and they have an impact. And we can make a difference. If we really focus on the emotional and mental health of these children early on, they are less likely to get into substance abuse, they are less likely to get into criminal problems, and they're less likely to get incarcerated. So it's a matter of, do you want to put some money up front that's less, or do you want to spend it on the back end because we feel good about building these buildings? It's just a difference of opinion. And I've always said, and I've said it for the past 4 years, whenever I've come for money, it's not a short-term solution. If you want to see the results, you've got to wait 10 years. That's the only way to make real progress. So I do understand you've got your constraints. I'm just saying, like I'm sure everyone says, it really is an important project. I'm really proud of the work. I can tell you, it causes me 3 times more work for this project. I don't get any credit. You can look at my weighted caseload. There's no credit for the 3 times extra work for me as a judge. There's no credit for the extra work for my staff for staying on top of these cases and making sure people do what they do. So if the money goes, in all honesty, that's less work for me. It's a lot less stress, but it's not the right thing. I didn't take this job to be a paper pusher, just to sign orders. I want to make a difference, and I really think that this project does that, and I really hope that when you have time to think about it, you will consider fully funding it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other communication from elected officials? Kevin, were you going to speak about Saturn? Can you please?
Now?
Yes.
Council, Kevin Gardner, County Assessor. The information that I've got is in 2024, which would have been the first filing for Saturn Pet Care after they had got an abatement with the county. They did not file a personal property return. We did initiate a Form 113 for personal property, which basically says, you didn't file, we believe you have personal property, and at that time we set a value on that. Our office set the value fairly low based on what their abatement was for. We set it at $5 million. We got no response to that, and because they never responded to that, never argued that it was right or wrong, a tax bill was generated for Saturn Pet Care. And here, this is the auditor's side, but since I got this information from them, the bill that was generated, which is based off of that $5 million assessment, was $59,615 for Springs, $59,590 for Fall. Because they didn't pay it, there's a delinquency of $2,979.50, which is a total of $122,184.50. Now, they did make a payment, a subsequent payment of $59,615. Auditor would have to give you the dates on that. So their balance is $62,569.50. In 2025, the Saturn Pet Care did file a personal property return. But when they filed the return, they filed it with nothing on it. So my chief deputy contacted them and stated, you guys need to give us some information here, because we had the CF1 and the SB1 from the council. They did file at that time, they filed a return. The return was a cost of their property was $65,084,630, which matches their CF1 exactly. So I don't know if that's an exact number or not, but it's what we accept. My chief deputy was in communications with them and let them know that, okay, you have an ERA, you need to file an ERA form, you need to submit your CF1, and so forth. With communications with her, they did file those forms, and in that process, that it takes that cost, it reduces it to the true tax value of $32,005,830, which is all wiped out because it got the 10-year 100% abatement. That's all the forms and everything I've got. I will say someone from their office had contacted me. They said that one of the issues they had was someone high up in their corporation was out of the country, so the other people didn't know that they were supposed to file. I informed them that in all reality, because they didn't file in 2024, that actually can have their abatement removed because they're not in compliance. When they filed in 2025, they did file timely, but they filed a blank form, so it really wasn't in compliance either. But working with us, they did work on that. They came to me requesting about removing the fees and all of that. I let them know that that's not my purview. All we do is the assessments.
Do you know if they have a new CFO? Do you know, or who you were speaking with?
I spoke with a gentleman and a lady. I don't know their names. I think I've got their cards in my office, but I don't know. I'm assuming they ended up with a new CFO.
Any questions from council?
Are they European based?
Yes, I believe so, because I'll just say the gentleman that came into my office had an accent, so I think it was European.
Question. When business personal goes off, supposedly in '07,
27.
or 27, I don't like you saying.
It doesn't disappear.
It's 10 years old.
It goes to a $2 million cap.
Okay.
So if you're below $2 million cost, so right now they're set at 65 million, it's not the tax value, it's the cost incurred. So if they're below the 2 million on the cost, then they're tax exempt, starting in 2027, 26, pay 27. But that, it doesn't go away for the bigger companies. I mean, it's still there, because they're above the $2 million threshold.
2 million, okay.
Unless the State House does something different next spring. So
Right.
as of right now, that's where it stands.
Okay.
Any other questions? Councilman Gentry?
Background on why this came up. You made a presentation. What generated you speaking today about this?
Now, I was sent a request by your council administrator that asked if I would come with the information that I have. I have this information because, one, we do the personal property forms. We process them and take them. And two is because the gentleman that came to me from Saturn Pet Care came to my office thinking that we could get rid of the fees and stuff. I escorted him over to the auditor's office. We had a meeting with Larry, and he contacted the county attorney, and then that's where I left the discussion.
Are we needing to take some action as the council on this?
I don't know what action. I know that they're requesting not to have to pay the fees because they were exempt, had a 10-year abatement. As the council, I guess it's in your realm to actually remove the abatement. I mean, they weren't compliant. I'm not saying that's in the best interest, I'm just saying that's in your purview.
Larry?
So, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, the two options I think we have are to remove the fees, or, pardon me, to charge the fees, or to remove the abatement.
That would be on the legal level. I don't know. I just know the council has the ability to remove an abatement if they're not in compliance. 2024, they were not in compliance. If you want my personal view, I'll give that, but I'm up here right now just giving you the facts.
When you say remove, is that removing it, the abatement permanently, or just for that year that they were out of compliance, and then they can get back into compliance?
I think that's up to the council.
Michael,
I
Ron.
don't think you can, I've never seen an abatement just removed for 1
No.
year. I think it's a
All
all
or
or
none.
nothing proposition. I thought there was a statute that talked about the ability of the treasurer and auditor to negotiate tax settlement issues with taxpayers. If they're requesting, to reinstate the abatement that they should have been entitled to had the appropriate paperwork been filed, I think that would require an affirmative assent to that by this board, given that, they're answerable to you in terms of the abatement. So.
And Michael, that would be the assessor and the treasurer? or
No,
the-
I was speaking more towards the abatement as opposed to, I think there's two issues here. One is the money that they owe right now. I think that the auditor and treasurer can talk to them about some plan to deal with that. I also think there's an issue related to their abatement that needs to be clarified for the record, because if they're, paying a tax bill that they would not have had to during the abatement, that should be acknowledged and receipted in appropriately so we can account for it. But the final decision regarding the abatement lies with this body. So if there's going to be some action on it, it would be the council who's required to take it. Yes?
Councilwoman Wilson?
Okay, for clarification, are we talking about $2,000 in fees or the whole 60-some thousand? And would that not leave us three options of either charging the amount or rescinding the abatement or clearing them on the abatement and saying you should not have had to pay those taxes to begin with and giving them the money back?
I think
I think it was a
as long as we incorporated that into writing, Councilman Wilson, that would be totally appropriate.
An option,
I mean, I think the key component here, in my opinion, is just making sure that everybody is on the same page. And yes, you're absolutely right. There could be a portion of the tax bill that is more deserving of forgiveness as opposed to not. And that, I think, as long as the county and the entity that sought the abatement are, like I said, on the same page, that would clear the problem in my mind and wouldn't create any issues with the State Board of Accounts.
In a brief conversation that I had with Andy Vogel, I think it was a combination of things. There was an upheaval in their organization, they do have a new CFO now. They are more, I think it was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding on their part, and I think they're more clear now. Or at least he tells me he thinks it's more clear. And in speaking to the new CFO, he wants to make it right, and I think they want to make an effort to comply.
I mean, I'm certainly, I'm just trying to remember back. Is this what you called me with Richard about?
Yeah, and I guess if you want me to go into more details of that conversation.
Well, I was just thinking, I think I know who represents them. So, I mean, I'm happy to engage on that and try and get some
It's Richard
conversation.
Shepard.
Yeah, okay. You know, I'm happy to reach out to Richard and have a conversation, you know, bring an update back to the council. I don't think there's anything that they have to do tonight. I mean, as far.
No, I mean,
think Kevin was
ultimately.
just bringing this more as a informational piece, and I can, report back as to what their exact request is, and communicate back any response that the council has to that.
Thank you.
From the conversation I had with the gentleman, which I think is the one you just said his name, that had came to my office, he understands that they made a mistake. He understands that they should have to pay something. He doesn't feel that they should have to pay the full amount. So at that point, I guess what's up to this body is, one, do you want to allow the abatement to remain in effect for the remainder of, because they've lost, this will be the second year. So they lost their first year. Second year they did file. So if you're allowing them to remain abated, then they've got 8 more years left after this year. I guess the penalties and fees that they pay is the slap on the wrist, and they still lost their first year. So that was the conversation that I had with him, that he was bringing that stuff to my attention. I said, well, that makes sense, but that's not my say.
Mr. President, a legal question?
Councilman Ellis.
You asked earlier if we wanted your opinion, if we wanted to hear your opinion. I am curious to know your opinion, as well as perhaps even one of the commissioners, but also I'd like to know, is there any history of any other companies that have made a mistake, and is there a pattern that we have followed in the past so that we're not treating one company in our community different than other companies? And also, I'm not saying that the abatement was correct or incorrect to give at the beginning, but whichever body decided to do that, that was a decision that was made. And how does it reflect on us as a community if someone truly made an honest mistake and we're making a decision to pull that abatement back when they're trying to make good on it? So yes, I would love to hear your opinion, and perhaps if one of the commissioners want to chime in as well.
My opinion is basically Saturn Pet Care has met the majority of their CF1 and SB1, their request. They do have the employees. They have done the increases to their property. They were given a 10-year abatement. They made the mistake the first year. Historically, if a personal property filer fails to file, they get a penalty. They have to pay the penalty plus the taxes that were due. I don't believe they should be treated any differently. Now, the only difference in this aspect is they were abated. So probably in reality, they should have to pay the delinquency for filing, and they should have to pay the percentage that is part of that delinquency, because it's like $25 if you don't file, a failure to file, and then the percentage change, depending on when this happens, either 20 or 10% of what the tax would have been. I think it'd be justifiable and fair to the rest of the taxpayers if they at least had to pay that portion. And I do believe they've already paid $59,000, which is more than what that portion would have been. So, in my opinion, to be fair to all the other personal property filers, they lost their first year by getting these penalties. They've already paid half of it. I think that half, probably the county should keep, or at least a portion of it, because of the penalties. And I think they should be released of the rest of it because they did get a 10-year abatement. They've met their requirements other than a failure to file.
Do we know of any other companies that have had similar issues?
We've had companies that have failed to file. We've also sent them the 113s, placing an amount on them, and they were stuck with it. They paid it.
And as far as continuing abatements?
Historically, there haven't been 100% 10-year abatements. So in the past, they already paid a portion if they weren't in their first year. So as far as I know, because that would have been before me, I believe they would have paid the penalty. But I don't know if I can historically find that or not.
Thank you.
And to your point, Councilman Ellis, I think more of the issues have been a failure of that entity to meet the expectations they set in the CF1s.
The employees,
The employees, the
salaries.
payroll, the incentives that they laid out to qualify for the abatement.
Sure.
And based on this CF1 that they filed this year, they are inside of their requirements.
Thank you.
So they are compliant that way.
Councilman Gentry.
Legal question, Mr. Wright. Is there anything in Indiana code that would require us to provide Saturn some type of due process? I mean, I understand they've approached, they've actually, by what we just heard, it just seems that it would defy logic that we would just simply take and make some type of a motion or
Oh, no, sir.
pull the
Yes.
abatement. I mean,
Yeah, no, the act of pulling an abatement is something that we would absolutely have to give them notice of. We would have to line out where they have fallen short. I mean, that is not a issue that is before you tonight. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. That remedy, in my 20 years of being around local government, I have never seen a tax abatement pulled back. So I think the oversight here was fairly, ministerial. It was not related to the investments that they made on the property or the employees that they agreed to hire. They paid the tax. So, I mean, in my respects, they've, done what they were supposed to do up to this point, and they're just trying to make sure that what I'd say the remainder of their abatement is in good terms. And so, my offer to, follow up, as Councilwoman Wilson suggested, was just in regards to that, to try and get something in writing that the council is comfortable with and that they are comfortable with, that defines what they are going to, what they've already paid, or something more than that or less than that. And then I think they just want to be assured that their real and personal property tax abatements are in good standing for the remainder of those 10 years.
nothing more, Mr. President.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Reports from committees. Annual Budget Committee.
Annual Budget Committee's been meeting for, seems like forever. But we've gone through most of it. And right now, we're going to have a meeting Monday morning at 9 o'clock for a final on that. So just wanted making sure everybody was aware of that.
Thank you. Resolutions and ordinances other than appropriations. First reading of Vigo County 2026 budget. Page
Mr. President, members of the council, Norm Latimer, Executive Director of Vigo County Home for Children.
Hold on a second.
I lied.
No, not yet.
Just gonna read
This
the
is
budget.
reading the budget.
Ah,
Larry's
Yeah.
reading the budget.
I lied.
You're excited.
I was so entranced with all the discussion earlier, I wanted to get out of here, so.
Larry, are you going to read these? I believe the first paragraph is the same on all of them. If you read that, and just which one you're talking about, the dollar amount.
That is correct. Just a side note here, solid waste and the Terre Haute International Airport did not file, they filed after the deadline due to us being able to put that in the papers or put it on the website. So these will be read at a special council meeting on Thursday, September 18th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. on both of those entities. So the first one that we'll be doing is Vigo County, and this is a notice to taxpayers. Notice to taxpayers is also available online at www.budgetgetnotices.in.gov. This is complete details of budget estimates by fund and/or department. May be seen by visiting the office of this unit of government at 131 Oak Street, Terre Haute, Indiana 47807. Notice is hereby given to taxpayers of Vigo County, Indiana, that the proper officers of Vigo County will conduct a public hearing on the year 2026 budget. Following this meeting, any 10 or more taxpayers may object to a budget, tax rate, or tax levy by filing an objection petition with the proper officers of Vigo County, not more than 7 days after the hearing. The objection petition must identify the provisions of the budget, the tax rate or tax levy to which taxpayers object. If a petition is filed, Vigo County shall adopt with the budget a finding concerning the objections in the petition and testimony presented. Following the aforementioned hearing, the proper officers of Vigo County will meet and adopt the following budget. The public hearing date, and by the way, that paragraph, we're just going to use that as an example, and I'm going to forego doing that for each entity if it's all right with everybody. The public hearing date is, for this one, for Vigo County, is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. The public hearing time is 5 p.m. The public hearing location is 127 Oak Street, Terre Haute, Indiana, 47807. The adoption meeting for this is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. The adoption meeting time is 5 p.m. The adoption meeting location is 127 Oak Street, Terre Haute, Indiana, 47807. And the amount of the budget for Vigo County, and this will also let you know that these are inflated, thank you. Inflated numbers, it's a work in progress right now. $118,083,305 for Vigo County budget. Moving on to Honey Creek Fire Protection, Vigo County. Same hearing date, same hearing times, same location, same adoption meeting date, same adoption meeting time. Adoption, this is on page 12, by the way. And the total for the Honey Creek Fire Protection District is $3,781,156. Moving to Negocian Fire Protection District, again, same heading, same hearing date, same hearing time, same hearing location, same adoption meeting date, adoption meeting time, adoption meeting location, and the budget for that is this is very small, $288,868,000. Let me read that again. $288,868. Sorry. The page 14 is Lost Creek Fire Protection District. Same public hearing, same adoption meeting. And the total for that one is $527,174. Page 15 is Riley Fire Protection District. Same heading, same public hearing, same adoption meeting date, and the total for that is $681,844. Page 16 is Sugar Creek Township Fire District. Same heading, same public hearing date, same adoption meeting date. Total for that is $1,221,279. Page 17 is Prairieton Fire Protection District. Same heading, same public hearing, same adoption meeting date, and the budget estimate on that is $366,685. And I believe that's all I've got right now. Pardon me. Oh, pardon me, CIB, 2026 budget. Total receipts is $4,771,000. Total disbursements, $9,700,000.
All right, is that the last one?
I believe so.
There is no action on those, correct? Just reading it. Thank you. First reading of binding units 2026 annual budgets, page 11. I guess that's. That was here, all right. Resolution 2025-2, resolution modifying local income tax rate for Vigo County, page 19. Yes.
Okay, this is Resolution 2025-2, resolution modifying local income tax rates for Vigo County. Be it resolved by the County Council of Vigo County that a need now exists to modify the local income tax rates imposed in the following way. Existing lit rate for certified shares is .75. Public safety is .30. Economic development is .50. Property tax relief is .00. Special purpose tax relief rate is .25. Correctional or rehabilitation facilities is .20. And the proposed lit rate is the same across the board. It's the very same. The allocation rate category, public safety, is .30. That's the existing lit rate. And the proposed lit rate is the same, .30. The local income tax type for public safety access point rate, the existing PSAP rate is .10. The proposed PSAP rate is .10. From the lit amount generated by the public safety rate, the following qualifying service provider shall receive a specified amount of the tax revenue to be distributed under this section during the following calendar year. Honey Creek Fire Department is $147,216.67. Lost Creek Fire Department, $15,204.80. New Goshen Fire Department, $12,318.17. Otter Creek Fire Department, $21,903.36. Pearson Fire Department, $14,821.92. Prairieton Fire Department, $17,938.28. Riley Fire Department, $29,623.29. Shepherdsville Fire Department, $2,847.86. Sugar Creek Fire Department, $47,210.92. Be it further resolved that a public hearing was held on the proposed local income tax rate modifications on September 2nd, 2025. The proper notice of the public hearing was provided pursuant to IC 5-3-1. After the public hearing on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, the County Council may take action on the proposed resolution on Tuesday, today, September 9th, 2025, at 5 p.m. or subsequent meeting. That's it, yeah.
Councilwoman Wilson?
Just for clarification, since there's no changes, how is it a modification? Are we just adopting it as is?
I think so.
The amounts for
The amounts are the
the
difference?
fire
Okay.
departments are just slightly
Gotcha.
different.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from council?
Mr. President,
Councilman Dick?
legal question, Mr. Wright. Is there a legal mandate, a timeline in which we would have to adopt this modification or readoption?
Yes. I
What
mean,
what is the, do you know what the dateline, the deadline of that
My
is?
recollection is it's Halloween.
Halloween?
Yes.
Mr.
And I
President,
believe October 31st is the deadline. If you have not adopted a tax rate by that point, then the DLGF will not implement it for the following year.
Mr. President, and I spent this, I'm addressing you as the president, because I wouldn't have a clue as to who in this room I should be addressing these questions, so I'm going to go with your expertise and knowledge of this. Spent the last week pulling up the actual numbers that are sitting within these various earmarked lit accounts, trying to get a better feel for how much money the county is generating off the local income tax, and trying to educate myself on what and why these lits were put in place throughout the years. One of my concerns is I don't know whether the council has been, the members of the council have been provided the actual account balances or a synopsis or a full understanding of what each one of these lits are. I'm a little concerned about an adoption process with these lits without having at least a discussion on what each one of these lits actually were set up for, a little bit of the history. You've been on the council for a while. Obviously, there's a few of us that are new. And some of these, I think, need some additional discussion. And the account balances are quite large. One of the things that I'm concerned about is year after year, we simply adopt the same thing over and over. These account balances are growing, but I don't see any efforts to actually use these funds to help the county. I know the commissioners have mentioned this in the past, that the county seemingly is in a fairly good financial situation, and I'm just a little concerned. So I don't know if you can enlighten us a little bit, Mr. President, as to the history behind this. Is this, again, we just approve these on an annual basis? Do we ever go back and review and remove a lit that we may not need anymore? That those are the types of questions I have, sir.
Commissioner Schweitzer, did you or?
No, you
Michael?
go ahead, Chris.
Okay. So the lit special purpose tax 1114 is a 0.25% special purpose tax that is in place until 2039 or until the jail bonds is paid off. That specific tax. Revenue from that tax can only be used for the following purposes, and I know you've seen this, Randy, but I'm going to read it anyway. To finance, construct, acquire, improve, renovate, or equip a county jail and related buildings and parking facilities, including costs related to the demolition of existing buildings and the acquisition of land, to repay bonds issued or leases entered for constructing, acquiring, improving, renovating, and equipping the county jail and related buildings and parking facilities. That's 1114. 1233 correctional and rehabilitation facilities is 0.20%. That was voted on in 2018 and approved for 20 years. Or potentially 22 years if the council at that time chose to extend it. The revenue generated by that tax under this section must be distributed directly to the county before the remainder of the expenditure rate revenue is distributed. The revenue shall be maintained in a separate dedicated county fund and used by the county only for paying for correctional facilities and rehabilitation facilities in the county. Those two funds directly work together in correlation in the instance if we want to build a new community corrections, we wanted to demolish, not the new jail, but we use those funds to demolish the old jail. 1170 lit is the public safety fund. The county share is 0.20%. The council could absolutely rescind that ordinance today if you wanted to. I don't think you want to do that, but you can. That's public safety. That goes to law enforcement, firefighting prevention. Basically, all the public safety fire protection districts in the community receive a piece of that pie. It's anything related to public safety. PSAP could also be rescinded by the county council. 0.1%, that's 1235 point lit. That's funding to our dispatch center. Definitely don't want to see that go away. PSAP refers to public safety answering point. The revenue generated by a tax rate imposed under this section must be distributed directly to the county before the remainder of the expenditure rate revenue is distributed. The revenue shall be maintained in a separate dedicated county fund and used only for paying for public safety answering point in the community. I want to say the .25 special purpose, and I believe I'm correct, but would have to get clarification maybe from Michael or Baker Tilly. The 0.25% tax does not go away. It remains until the jail bond is paid off. That is the account with the most money in it. Also, I believe, David, it was 3 years ago an ordinance was passed to withhold money to pay the jail off earlier when possible. I believe that is the correctly ordained account. But also recognizing with Senate Bill 1 and Senate Enrolled Act 1, and the mayor's here, we're going to be facing different circumstances where our local income tax is going to substantially change in 2027, where our maximum tax can only be 1.2%. But the special purpose 0.25% will remain because it was legislatively given to the county to build a new jail.
Mr. Schweitzer, I would quit the special purpose tax, and I'm looking at one piece of paper, you're providing other numbers. One of the things that I saw was that special purpose tax relief under IC 6-3.6-7-25 is associated and was developed because we have a federal court order associated with the jail.
Mm-hmm.
So if we resolve the federal court order, would that lit go away automatically?
No, because we still have to pay off the bond.
But there's another hold. There's like three or four lits. How many? 4 lits associated with the jail
But
and corrections?
They all have legal descriptions of how that money can be spent. So right now, 1114, 1233 are the two accounts that we can use bond money for. One of them has a substantially more money in it due to an ordinance that was passed and because it's dedicated directly to the bond.
It wouldn't be prudent to reduce the lits, in your opinion, at this point, because we are going to have to possibly make up a revenue shortfall from property tax relief. So to downsize at this point or to try to make changes to the lit would also be problematic since we have an unknown set of numbers coming at us.
The state's going to require us to do that anyway in 2027. So this 2% falls off end of calendar year. Is that correct? End of calendar year 26, because you guys will have to implement your own lit
Yes,
in 27.
So with that one, the lit itself, starting in 2028, is split up between multiple buckets. 1.2% in the county, 1.2% in the city, 0.4% that can be used for fire townships, and an erroneous 0.2% that can be used for a library. So these add up to 3, even though your max lit can only be 2.9, which I believe is honestly just an error in the legislation. What is concerning to your question, Councilman Gentry, is in 2027, in the spring, the State Department of Revenue is supposed to issue an estimate. In this estimate, it will show what your city can capture with their 1.2% lit. Right now, everything we have is just estimates from a financial advisor but not the state of Indiana. And then for some reason in September of 2027, the city has to vote on the 2028 lit, which would be 1.2% or less than that. Currently, the city, through CAGIT, through EDIT, and through the police lit, is what I call it, receives $19 million. If you do the math of what the 1.2% would look like, again, this is a financial advisor estimate, not the state of Indiana's estimate, it comes out to 15.5 million. So even if you do a 1.2, you've got a gap of 3.5 million. And so to kind of answer your question, if could you reduce some of the lits that you have, lits that are tied to debt obligations, in the legislation, even if a council says, no, we're not doing that, the state will still require that lit. So your jail and your correctional lit, frankly, whatever you may do it, according to the way the law is written now, it would still stand in 2028 and beyond. But your question about the 2 additional lits, I understand, but I would say, when you look in the budgets what it's used for, all of the police equipment, all of the police vehicles, ammunition, and training is now housed in our PS lit bucket. Additionally, the fire department uses that as well. So now the general fund, the city's general fund property tax, does not fund those items. Frankly, it can't, because 98 to 99% of the general fund is wages and salaries. As we're keeping that number flat, we have to fund the other aspects of public safety through PS lit.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner.
I also
Nothing
want
further,
to add,
Mr. President.
Mr. Thompson, too, if I may. Based off of tax caps in 2010 is the reason why we got to local income taxes, because one politician A says reduce property taxes and cap them. Politician B says, well, here's another way to get your revenue back. So public safety specifically relies on the 2 additional buckets that we have.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? If not, I will accept the motion.
Motion to accept the lit rates as presented.
Motion to approve by Councilman Gentry, a second by Councilwoman Wilson. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Randy Gentry,
Aye.
Nancy Alsup,
Aye.
Brenda Wilson, Steve Ellis,
Aye.
Vicky Wager,
Aye.
Brad Anderson,
Aye.
David Thompson.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Resolution 2025-3, Sugar Creek Fire Protection District Debt Service Fund Request, page 21.
President Thompson and council, I would just like to pass a message along from Fire Chief Scott. He apologizes for not being here in person tonight. He had emergency medical services to take care of, and he is currently at the Mayo Clinic. So he wanted me to pass that along and didn't want you to think that we were at the Sunshine meeting and then he bailed. So he wanted me to let council know that he is with us, but he physically can't be here right now.
Thank you. Questions for, I guess, are you here?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Questions for Carol?
Mr. President, they explained this rather well last week, and if nobody else has a question, I'd make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Wager, second by,
I'll second.
Steve already said.
Okay.
Speak up, will ya?
Councilman Anderson made the second. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Randy Gentry,
Aye.
Nancy Alsup,
Aye.
Brenda Wilson,
Aye.
Steve Ellis,
Aye.
Vicky Wager,
Aye.
Brad Anderson,
Aye.
David Thompson.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Resolution reallocation of existing appropriation 2025-6, group homes, transfer of funds. Norm? Page 23.
You're still the president, I'm still the director. Thank you for hearing me. We discussed this last week. I've got a couple things I wanted to pass out to you guys.
Thank you. Looks like my shower at home.
Could I ask him a question real quick?
Sure.
President Thompson,
Yes.
were we wanting to talk about how we were going to, do we want to,
I think we left it last week. Are you going to pay
yes,
for it?
okay. So yes, we can pay for this month out of our maintenance budget, and then we will come back next month and request a reimbursement if that's how the council would like to move forward.
Okay. From Norm's non-reverting
From
fund,
the
correct?
non-reverting fund, yes.
Okay. So the ask currently is for the amount to come out of salaries, a transfer. Or we can pull it and commissioners can ask for it next month out of Norm's non-reverting.
Yes.
Questions from council? Does that make sense? Questions from council? Councilman Gentry?
The only thing that I tried to make a point of at last Tuesday is that just 1 month ago, we moved money into salary, that line item, and I was the one that believed that it would be best not to take that money from the salary because it will revert back to the general fund and back to the county, the monies that were not used, and that Mr. Loudermilk has a fairly large non-reverting fund that's building continuously, and I just felt like it was better to use the money that's being generated from DCS, not the local taxpayer dollars. Thank you, Mr. President.
Norm, did you, what are these pictures?
Well, I can discuss that next month. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
So is this being postponed?
Or so we are going to. Table it.
Table it?
We'll pull this request and then we'll make it. another
Perfect.
one. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one's being withdrawn. F, amended salary ordinance 2025-19, CASA, request for staff advocate position, page 24.
Juvenile court.
Good evening, Council President and council members. I wanted to give you a little update since I was here last week for our need. I sent an email hopefully clarifying some things that you received, but I wanted to tell you how our cases increase. So last week I was here and I told you that we had 918 cases that we were serving. We're now serving 939. Our caseload increased 21 cases since I saw you last week. That is how our cases are continually to grow. We are still on an upward swing. And that is why our positions of losing the staff member next year is critical to our program. And then having someone now, critically, that is a full caseload. Our lowest caseload right now has gone up to 17. That's our lowest case person right now. We just received 21 cases in less than 7 days. That's a full caseload that we are dispersing among the current staff, myself, supervisors, and what we currently have. So I just wanted to update you and let you know that this is what we deal with. This is our numbers. This is working towards the best interest of the children. We still currently don't have a wait list, but all of that comes to us. This isn't a new person getting this. This is an additional to what we already have that is maxed. So I wanted to give you those numbers.
Questions from council?
Mr. President, I would say
Councilwoman Wager.
to remind everyone, these are the children who are just at the end of the road. I mean, they have nobody else to help them. When they get to Glenna, they're in desperate circumstances. And so I heartily recommend and hope that everybody will hear her plea to help her take care of these kids. If you walk over there and look what's going on in her office, they are frantically paddling as fast as they can.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilman Gentry?
Information that I'm requesting is I'm assuming I'm going to, Mr. Anderson is maybe asking these questions right now, is what did the Budget Committee do with this? Because I felt like if we were taking this action, we're preliminarily trying to pay for a position that could theoretically go away at the end of this budget. So, Mr. Anderson, do you know, from a budget committee perspective, is this something that you added to, or what's the status?
Yes, we did not add this to the budget.
So, Mr. President, if we would take this action tonight, she currently has grant money to pay for this through September of 2026. If we do not take action to add this tonight, let me rephrase that question. If we take action to add it tonight, it still will end, and Mr. Wright, maybe it's a legal question, would it technically end when the new budget takes effect, because the budget does not have a provision for that position? So what exactly are we adding? Because right now, if we actually vote to do this December 31st, in my opinion, December 31st, she's still got the grant money. I'm not sure that we're fixing her problem.
I would agree with you there that if it's not in the budget for next year, then at the end of the year, she will no longer have authority to pay a person for that work through county resources. So, I mean, but that question is not, I mean, I guess the answer to that question is not set in stone either, in that the budget for next year could still be modified.
Okay, so my question would be, from a legal standpoint, if we would table this and not deny this, but not approve it, it would leave the door open next year, even though it's not in the budget, if she gets into a situation where her grant money is pulled. We got a full detail on how that would process, or how that could potentially happen. Would it be prudent that we would table it to give us the option to assist her next year, or are we binding ourselves by this action tonight?
Well, I mean, if you deny the request tonight, your rules dictate that the same request can't come back to you for a year. The same request, not some, it's slightly modified, but if you don't want to do anything with it tonight to see how the situation plays out, tabling it is certainly the prudent option.
A question,
All right.
Michael, what about the employee's insurance? Does she have insurance now?
No, the person that is in the
Grants.
VOCA position right now is part-time.
Part-time.
So she has no benefits right now. That's why my proposal was for full-time or a part-time position.
Yeah.
So my you follow my line of questioning, and what I'm trying to protect you. I don't want to, if I say, if a motion would occur and we approve this, it's not in the budget, and so you don't have it. It's a false scenario. If we table it, and Mr. Wright, correct me if I'm wrong, if we table it, then if the unfortunate situation occurs where you lose your grant funds,
We will.
we would be able to have you come back and say, you lost it, and let us address that.
So my question is, it's guaranteed it's going to go away September 30th of 2026. So do I come in March, or do I come later in the year asking for this position if you table it? Because I need to know, because I can't wait till the money's gone,
Yeah.
because then the person has to be, then I can't do anything.
I-
So
I-
when
and
would I come back?
I appreciate that, but I guess I would say that that's the dynamic that occurred with the budget. And I just don't want to be in conflict with a budget that we just had a first reading tonight that's coming. And so I'm not sure that, I don't want to handcuff you in a situation. I think Councilwoman Weger is correct. I mean, you're doing great work. You've got an increasing caseload. But I don't know that we can fix this tonight, and I don't want to handcuff you moving forward. So I feel like you know, the best scenario, and again, I'll have to defer to my colleagues, I mean, I just feel like the only way for us to move forward and not get you in a major bind is to table it.
Is it possible, since the budget has not had its final hearing and been voted on, could I still come before budget to present that, since it still said, according to Michael, could still be modified?
What would you ask for?
I would come and ask for the positions for the 2027 budget, or 2026 budget. Yeah. Since it's not been finalized yet, and we just had the first reading tonight, and it was stated by the auditor that the numbers are inflated, is it possible that I could still come back to the October hearing that they made public tonight and request those positions for a modification at that time?
You want me to answer? I don't know, I guess I'm speaking for the budget committee, but I believe they have, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they've cut grant positions that are no longer funded. I think if you go in front of the budget committee, that position, and I'm one person speaking, may be cut. Only one council person, I would say your best bet is to have this tabled, because it seems to me currently that the position's funded until September of next year.
Yes.
And the rates have changed too.
That's what I do,
Part-time,
that's what I
too,
do,
so-
Glenna.
So when would I have to come back to council to present that? That's the other question, because I
Yeah.
don't want to fall back into that position of coming before council again, which has happened in the past, of saying you need to come back to council, and then I come back to council to ask it, and then it gets kind of muddied, and we're still trying to figure out when I need to do it, and then when it goes to effect, and then the position ends, and then I gotta wait till the next year to start that position, because I have to come back to council again, and that did happen in 2027 to fill a position that now is no longer available.
And it ends in September, right?
Yes.
So I'd say come in July and say I need to start a position in September.
Would it be for September for the end of the 2026 budget, or would I be requesting it for the 2027 budget?
You'd be accepting, or you would be asking for it to be from
In-
September
Till the
to
end, and then
December.
asking in the budget committee
The budget
things?
committee for that to be funded in
Yeah, things
2027.
all
2027.
fall at an odd time and grant stuff when it runs out, there's no money.
Which I am perfectly happy to do, honestly. I just don't want to fall into the same position that we fell into 4 years ago, where I was told to come back, and then I did, and then the position then did not get rectified and started until the following calendar year.
I've got a question also, real quick.
Councilman Ellis.
I don't remember if it was you or maybe someone else about another grant position that mentioned this, but I guess my first question would be, would it be possible next year for you to apply for another grant?
I cannot. I sent an email explaining, because remember last week I couldn't remember what the word was.
Mhm.
It's called supplanting.
Okay.
Because the council provided 2 positions, and then we went to the federal grant to get the VOCA for the 3rd, because the county provided the benefits under the 2 full-time positions that they did. The federal grant come in and said that's supplanting. The county needed to cover the benefits for the 3rd position, and then in communications back and forth with the council members, and then finally the auditor's office sending me an email saying that it would not be covered. We rewrote the position knowing that I could not ask for that position again, because again, we talked about creating a new position that was modified or requested. You can't, because I won't write a fluff position. What I need is case management and to
Sure.
be able to see children, so it would be considered a supplanting again.
Or is there a possibility to write, or try to request grant funds for more part-time positions where,
It would still be supplanting. It's the same job.
interesting, okay.
So it goes away.
Well, I'd make a motion, we table.
Okay.
I second.
Everybody seconds.
Motion by
I seconded it.
Councilman Anderson to table, second by Councilwoman Wilson.
Okay.
Is that right? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion
Thank
passes
you.
7-0.
I'll see you next year.
Thank you.
We'll see you for then.
Yeah, we will.
Ordinances relating to appropriations. Additional appropriation 2025-46, CASA request for staff advocate position, page 25. Guess that is tabled.
Motion to table.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gentry, second by Councilwoman Wilson. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Additional appropriation 2025-48, Casey. Substance Use Misuse Prevention Initiative Grant, page 26. Landon?
I guess I'm here to answer any other questions or follow-up questions you might have after last week, so.
Questions from council?
Sir,
Councilman Gentry?
I have some concerns that I don't know how well you'll be able to address, but you wear a lot of different hats. So the first thing I want to clarify is that this particular request is to the nonprofit, correct?
That is correct, for
All
Chances
right.
and Services for Youth.
All right. I want you to fully respect that, you know, the budget committee we're tightening our belts as a county. I understand that the opioid funds are there and was advised that it's still paying us quarterly, so we've got money coming in. My heartburn is you're running a nonprofit. We have departments within our purview that can provide services, and it seems that if we have an opioid problem right now, and this is where I'll get to a question. A lot of people say I'm way too indirect in these things, but I just want to make sure I'm laying the groundwork, is that you need this money to match a grant, but it's not a requirement that the county provides you a 50%. You just need to come up with $150,000. No, it must be the opioid money?
Correct.
All right. I'm a little worried about the success of the program. If we put $150,000 into this, and we've got drug programs, we've got drug court, we've got Veterans Court, we had Judge Reddy here earlier asking for money. And while the opioid money may not have a direct relationship, it's similar to what you're trying to do, is to go teach young children. I'm afraid that it's an unmeasurable metric, that we're talking 10, 12 years down the road when we right now as a county have an opioid problem, and we've got jail overcrowding, part of our conversation tonight. We have people that are in jail and are simply stuck using drugs. So I'm a little concerned that what makes your nonprofit any different than the other 14 or 15 nonprofits that will come in and ask for additional funding from various different funds that we have. Not saying that anything you do is not great. It is. I know about what you're doing, but I'm concerned that $150,000 could go a long way to actual county government operations. And so do you have any type of a pushback or comeback on that?
Yes, I do. So I will say that, absolutely, there are great nonprofits in our community. I work with a lot of them all the time. I work with county offices all the time, whether it's the health department, whether it's some of the court programs, whether it's our Drug-Free Vigo County, which is not quite a government entity, but it's a council that's overseen by the county. And I would push back and say that, the money so the grant, the whole point of that grant from the state, so they're taking settlement dollars and they're trying to get communities to spend their settlement dollars to some degree. I think people are sitting on them, not spending them. And I think that they put it out as an opportunity to sit there and say, we've got $150,000, because there was 3 different categories. You could have spent $500,000 constructing something. I'm not in that business to do that. I mean, either you could have. There's 3 different areas that you could have spent it. This is specifically looking at for us, going back to the list of approved programming, and I selected on that we're working on counseling services and life skills services. So it's not just teaching kids; it is teaching kids in the schools as far as with life skills. It's providing counseling services to kids in the schools. It's providing counseling services to kids and families at our counseling center, at the community center. So it's across the board with that. And I would again push back and say that I think counseling services have been pretty proven across the board, as a way to help stop drug use, alcohol use, especially working with children. I mean, we know that early intervention or prevention services are really where your best bang for your buck is going to be all day long, and that's a proven not just at a local level, at a state level. And I'll say furthermore, for chances and services for youth, I am here several times presenting to you because I am very active. Our agency is very active in the community. We're not sitting back and just saying, how can I just wait and see what the next issue is going to be? I'm out here trying to be proactive and say, we see this working with our kids and our families every day. Whether I've talked with the judge, and not just Judge Reddy, whether I've talked to any of the judges, whether I've talked to county officials, to city officials, and I'd like to say that we're out here trying to figure out a way to best affect change in our community. And we can't, and Councilman Gentry, I'm not asking for just the county to help me. I get state funds, I go after federal funds. I do fundraisers. In fact, in 3 weeks, if you all would like to attend Dancing with the Terre Haute Stars, it's a fundraiser we host here in town. That's what I'm doing. We raise $250,000 a year on that. Now, I say all of that because it takes quite a bit to operate a nonprofit that's going to be viable, that is going to show results, and that is going to provide the services that our community needs. And that's just, and I will tell you on top of that, I do wear many hats in the community. I've been here since 1997. I've actually worked for Chances since 1997. October 1st will actually be 28 years that I've been there. I worked, a long time. So, I've put my time in the sense that I say that in the sense that I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it, I've lived it from across the ages with the families that we work with.
So, big concern is that if we gave this to community corrections, we gave it to the drug court, we gave it to any one of the courts, the family court program that the judge has. We just cut Judge Reddy's in the budget. She's been cut to $100,000. You're asking for $150,000.
And I would argue that you ought to take the other $150,000 that she's asking for and fund it out of this because it can be funded.
Yeah.
It could be. I think we need to spend this money.
Well, yeah, we definitely need to spend the money. I don't have any doubt. But I'm a little concerned that it's not necessarily the right fit. We may be one of the few counties that is spending a great deal of money on nonprofits. Not that you're not doing great work. I want to reiterate that. Nobody's criticizing what you're accomplishing or the services that you provide. But when we have county programs that we have decided that we are going to cut, we have a community corrections program that I'm sure that if we gave them $300,000 or $150,000, that they could provide services that would impact the county right now and help reduce jail population, and then also would help address the opioid crisis that we currently have. So not that the program is something that's not worthy of time or money. It is a program whereby we're working with children that are 10, 12 years down the pipe. We don't know whether we're going to be able to deal with them or not, but doggone it, right now we have a problem, and we've got to do something. So I'm a little concerned that by providing you these funds, once we hand you the check, this body's no longer can oversee this, whereas if we give it to Community Corrections or Judge Reddy, we can get metrics, we can get an understanding if we're making a change. So that's my concern.
Against Councilman Gentry, you'll still get metrics because anytime, I don't know how familiar you are with grants. I've lived in the world of grant making my entire adult life since 18 years of age. I have to present metrics no matter what. So when we write the grant, I have to present to the Division of Mental Health and Addictions, which I would present again to this body. Here's the number of kids that we've served. Here's what we're finding. I would do that on a whenever the state, the contract would mandate that. So it's not like we get $150,000 from you and $150,000 from the state, and they say go have fun with it. It is, I know what you're saying, but I know you didn't say it. I'm being facetious a little bit with that, but what I'm saying is that we have to present these. I can't just simply take money and not present what I'm doing with it. And I would come back to this body and present all of those reports to you as well.
I thank you for your program, and I thank you for your answers. They're candid, but again, I wanted to share my concerns with you, and I'm afraid that we're spending a lot of time and a lot of resources on nonprofits when we've got entities within our own purview that we should be assisting and helping fund. So thank you.
Any other questions from council? Councilman Ellis?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to add much new or different. Brandon, I'm gonna start off by apologizing. I probably should have spent more time getting to know you and getting to understand what exactly it is that you do. Because I truly don't. And to your benefit, you walked into my store one day, sat down with me, and you spoke to me eye to eye and explained some of it. I do struggle with this in that, is this the same group that the board prior to us gave roughly $1 million to at the end of last year?
It is, in the sense that you did give me $1 million for the child care center that I'm building, you as well as the city. And I've raised so far almost $7 million towards that child care center that we're building on the outside of town, outskirts of town. Again, meeting a need for the community that we're trying to do.
And
yes.
so, when I say shame on me, I've not gotten to know you well enough to know truly how much good you're doing in the community. And I've spoke with other people in the community that say, oh, you got to get to know this guy. He's done wonderful things. He's doing amazing things. And I'm like, okay, maybe he is. I struggle personally with, I have non-for-profits. I've never once come to the board and asked for money. I've given money to agencies where, quite frankly, our board doesn't provide them money to get ammunition. There's some of our officers that are buying their own self-defense ammunition. So I struggle with the board funding a non-for-profit versus funding our own government. That's my struggle with this personally. And so that you understand when we vote, that's why I have my position. That's not to say that I may not get to know you, understand, and see what you're truly doing in our community, and it may be huge. Shame on me for not knowing that tonight. My apologies.
Councilwoman Wilson?
I'm gonna, oh, do you want to, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I want to just respond, and I'm sorry. I want to just respond to a couple of things. First to you, Councilman Ellis, what I would say is, you're right. You could give the money to a governmental entity, but it's about who can provide the quality of services in an efficient manner. If you go into other communities and you want mental health services, and that's what you're probably seeing in some of the other courses, you're going to wait 3 months or 6 months. And by that time, they're back in jail, right? Nice thing about Chances and Services for Youth is they get people within a couple of weeks, because if people need help, they need help now, not 3 to 6 months down the road. So I think you can do it either way. I think it's a matter of what's the quality of the services and how efficient can it be and how effective can it be. And Councilman Gentry, I think one of your concerns, if I understood, is are we duplicating the money, right? Are we using the same money? But I think, these courts are all very different, right? Family Recovery Court is only for those children who are part of DCS. I can't send any of my families to Recovery Court for that money. Drug Court, can't send my family. So it's like, you got Recovery Works. All of this different pots are very specific. So what I'll tell you is, for whatever amount of money that you decide to fund the Family Court project, it's tracked and it's only for these divorce cases. Whatever money, and we get billed, and I know exactly what cause number and exactly what service we're paying for, so we know the money in the Family Court project is only used for this. What money Chances and Services might get for other things is used for other things. So hypothetically, I can say there have been many times after this project got started that Victim Services has sent families to Chances and Services for Youth. It doesn't get paid out of the money that the council gave me. It gets paid out of some other fund. I mean, there's a gap in things. And that's, this is my soft approach is, if we don't help the people that are falling between the cracks, they are impacting this community. And that's
Judge?
the best I can say.
Judge, you're seeing this day in and day out. And quite frankly, Mr. President, can I have the floor again? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're seeing this day in. Our president is a police officer seeing the front lines. We have an opioid crisis. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I use you as an example. You're only one example. But we're cutting programs. We're cutting because we're tightening our belt.
Sure.
I'm not saying that he's not providing a service. Does great work. I've said that 16,000 times. I'll say it another. But the point to this is that we gave, and Councilman Ellis talks about, we gave $1 million last year. We're now looking at 150,000 now. That's a lot of money. We need to get this money and deal with the opioid crisis right now. Not saying that his services are not great. I'm just using you as an example. I apologize if it's uncomfortable that I did that, but I'm just saying that what could you do with 150? What could Judge Johnson do with 150?
Right.
What could the new magistrate do with $150,000? It is a epidemic, and we've got jail overcrowding. We're trying to do everything we can to fix this, and I just wanted to make sure that that question got asked. $150,000 of opioid money does need to be spent.
Right.
Where is the most appropriate way to spend it, and how do we address the opioid crisis?
Well, I don't want to speak for Brandon, but I can't imagine he'd be too upset if the money was put into the court's budget and then we just paid Casey to do the services. Is that what you're trying to get at? That you'd rather keep it within a governmental entity rather than
I just
put it
think
there?
oversight, exactly, ma'am.
Sure.
I think that if we're doing this in a way, oversight is definitely something that would be helpful. And quite frankly,
Can't do- oh, sorry, we
he's not going to like this because he's dealing with a 50% match grant. So I get that. But what I'm saying, moving forward, we have a huge amount of money. I think the opioid numbers, Devin, you gave me these before. I'm not seeing them in my notes right off the top of my head here. But we have a lot of money that's coming into that opioid. And we need to fund the drug courts. We need to fund community corrections. We need to spend the extra money because we have jail overcrowding problems. And you know that as well as a judge. We need to reduce that. Mr. President, I'll just turn it back over to you, sir. Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, I know this is going long, but I just want to say this, and I think this is probably where there's just a difference of opinion, right, and a difference in approaches. You're right, we have a crisis, and we can keep putting money into the crisis, but the problem doesn't go away, because there's never going to be enough. They're still going to be in jail. So all I'm saying is, yes, these are adults, and we have to help them to help with the crisis. But it's not a long-term solution because the recidivism rate is so high. That's why I'm just saying, again, it's just a difference of opinion where I feel like if we put that money in earlier, it's just going to have a better effect. That's all I'm going to say.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Okay, I want to preface what I'm going to end up saying it, but there are no other government entities coming forward asking for it right now. So having said that, I make a motion that we approve this.
I still have another question.
There's a motion on the floor right now. Motion on the floor
Second.
to approve by Councilwoman Wilson, second by Councilwoman Waker.
Can I now ask questions?
Yes.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say, and I would encourage that every member of this board does the same going forward. I will apply this rule not only tonight, but I will apply it the entire time I sit in this seat. And that is, before I will approve funds going to a non-for-profit, I will require to see a full accounting of how they spend their money, what they've spent it towards, everyone that's on payroll, and what the salaries are on payroll.
I'll send it to you.
So when you have situations like we've seen prior, where some people are making huge salaries and then referring to it as a non-for-profit, that becomes an issue. So you can proceed with your motion.
I don't think we have a problem
Well,
with
I
Brandon.
mean, so I will, I'm sorry, I'm probably out of turn, so.
No, I-
Is there a-
Larry, I have a question for you. The restricted fund, do you know what the total is in there currently?
I do not know what the total is.
Devon's got it.
Larry?
Well, I have what we just got August 8th. We just got $38,482.77 in restricted, and we got $6,005.29 in unrestricted. Devin, do you have those numbers? So on opioid restricted account, Devin has that we have $880,461.11, and an opioid unrestricted account has $197,925.47. As of last Friday, yes.
Thank you. And the dollar amounts that you gave for August 8th, is that a one-time per year? Do you know?
We have been trying to address that question. Councilman Gentry saying 4 times. I honestly do not know that answer where I sit right now.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. I think that the idea that we're waiting for community corrections or the group home or any other entity within government, Joni Wise with the health department, to come forward and ask for this money, I'm not quite sure that we're very transparent in letting people know that we have this money and that what it can be used for. So again, using the idea that we've got this money, let's put it to use, let's deal with the current opioid crisis. But again, funding nonprofits is not something that's commonly done around the state. So I just want to make sure that we're using these monies for maximum impact.
We can't just count the fact that we've got a.
They fund nonprofits all over the state. Counties fund nonprofits, Randy, all over the state. Randy, am I right?
A lot of communities, a lot of city governments, county governments do. There's a lot of
Indianapolis, South
partnerships.
Bend, And Connersville, I know, does. Evansville does. I mean, counties can't take it all on themselves. We have to help our counties where we can when they're doing good work, and he does great work.
Councilwoman Wilson?
I apologize for interrupting you, Councilman. Can't discount the fact that he's got matching funds, that we're gonna double the amount of money that we're actually gonna be using with this. That was another reason why I think we should do that.
Applying for it, yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Randy Gentry,
No.
Nancy Alsop,
Aye.
Brenda Wilson,
Aye.
Steve Ellis,
Nay.
Vicky Wager,
Aye.
Brad Anderson, David Thompson.
Aye. Motion passes 5-2. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Additional appropriation 2025-49, Terre Haute Regional Airport, rainy day fund request, page 27.
Council President, we don't have anything to present, just here to answer any questions that anyone might have.
I make a motion we approve.
I second it.
Motion by Councilman Anderson, second by Councilwoman Wager. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Randy Gentry,
Aye.
Nancy Alsop,
Aye.
Brenda Wilson,
Aye.
Steve Ellis,
Aye.
Vicky Wager,
Aye.
Brad Anderson, and David Thompson.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you all very much.
Thanth you.
We'll see you next month. Come in and see us.
Okay.
Probably enjoy it.
Yes.
All right, honorary resolutions, there are none. Resolutions relating to fiscal policies of the council, there are none. Appointments, none. Public comment. Hearing none, I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by
Second.
Councilor Wilson, second by Councilman Ellis. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
We've been here for 3 days, I don't
Don't forget to sign paperwork.